What's up, guys? Welcome. My name's Josh with JC Cycle, and this is LochNess, our FXR Chopper. So today we're going to go and talk about the bike and kind of what made us want to build a bike such as this, what it actually has or is, and a lot of the dimensions and things, just a little more information on it. But I also want to introduce you to my other half. So this is my wife, Courtney. This is the other half of JC Cycle. In case you haven't guessed, J is Josh, C is Courtney, Cycle. That's us. So we have a eBay parts business. We buy and sell parts, bikes, whatever, mostly just parts. We have a website, www.jc-cycle.com, as well as just JC Cycle on eBay. If there's anything you're looking for, we have all kinds of Harley parts, Gilroy era Indian parts. If you or anybody you know has a large parts lot for sale, some parts they're moving or closing shops or whatever, we buy tons of parts. Hit us up. We surely would appreciate it. So this is our 88 was Harley Davidson FXR. Basically, I mean, we've had all kinds of FXRs, baggers, Sportsters, Dynas, the whole business. We're really into bikes of all sorts, all brands, Gold Wings included. Like, we're equal opportunity over here. So basically what happened is, and kind of how this bike came about is, I just kind of got to a point where we've seen every kind of bike, every like configuration, color combo, all the black bikes, the panel paints, the OG super stock bikes, like, and I appreciate all of them. Motorcycle dork is my thing on Instagram because I am a dork when it comes to motorcycles. I can't help it. I find something I like about all of them. So I don't want to put anybody down by saying like, the shit's played out. That's totally not it. I'm into all of them. It's just for myself, I wanted something a little different. And in my mind, probably around 3 years ago or so, you know, what really happened is we were going to all these swap meets. As you know, that's a part of our business. We buy parts and sell parts. So we're at all the swaps. We've met a ton of great people. But we started meeting a lot of the chopper guys that are into the old bikes, out there hunting for old parts, and I freaking love it. Those bikes are so rad, you know, watching them kick it over, will it start? It's always like, you know, it grabs your attention. It's just, for me, it's just not in the cards right now. I don't have the time or the patience to be trying to ride an old bike around, even though that's what I'd really like to do. So someday maybe that'll happen. So I started thinking, like, you know, what could I do? You guys might have seen my RD, my FXRD, super like kind of OG looking with some mods, nothing crazy, and I like that. But this time I was like, you know what? If I could, what would I do? And I thought, well, if I can't have the old chopper that I would like, and I love FXRs, what's better than an FXR chopper? So here we are. It's an 88 FXR. The frame. Most of the parts were found at the swap meet. So what I had done for those 3 years, when I kind of had this thing in my mind, I started collecting parts that I liked based off of just each part and what I liked about that part. In plans of someday, I said, hey babe, check this out. I've got this stash of parts on my shelf over here. We could put together a complete bike pretty much out of all the stuff that I've hoarded. Because anytime we'd run across any FXR stuff, anything that I thought would be cool on a bike, I just kept to the side on my own little shelf. We have a warehouse, so I have my own little shelf that I keep all my junk on, the good stuff. So yeah, I just said, hey, we could build this bike super cheap. Like, we got most of the stuff. Well, and as you see, it wasn't just putting parts together. There was a whole lot involved. So we'll get into a little more later on each individual part and how that played a role and how it works or how it jives. But putting together a bike strictly out of used parts, but trying to make a custom bike, it ain't cheap. No matter if you own all the parts already, it's still going to cost you a buttload of money to accomplish it. But that's also you know, you can't give up. You got to see it through. So yeah, we love FXRs and we love choppers, and this is a culmination of both ideas. So I guess the best place to start is with the frame. Also a Craigslist or swap meet find. Not even sure what was going on with that, but from the best our guess is the back half of the frame was a factory FXR one that somebody must have crashed or something, because it was all tubed in the front. Like, it was stock dimension, like they replicated a stock frame, but the back had molded pieces that were factory on it. So from what we gather, the back half was stock, front part was not. Didn't have any VIN numbers on it or anything. It was just a regular smooth neck, like aftermarket stuff. So I thought, well, that's the perfect one if we're going to make an FXR chopper. I'm not going to hurt a regular one. So for you purists out there, this is just not a good stock frame that we went ahead and whacked. But even if it was, it's not yours, so don't worry about it. So for the framework, that was probably one of the most intense parts. I'm not a welder fabricator by any means. I'm not a painter. I'm not a mechanic. I'm not anything. I sell junk on eBay. Like, I don't have the skills it takes to do something like this. So for that, we were able to enlist the help of Bryden at TPJ Customs. He's in Nevada. Dude does killer work, has been on TV shows, built some amazing freaking bikes, and that dude is totally talented. So basically dropped the frame off to Bryden and said, hey dude, here's kind of what I'm thinking. And he was like, well, sure. Typical Bryden fashion. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, yeah, sure. He'll never tell you no. Dude's awesome. So anyway, a lot of people ask the dimensions of the frame, and I don't know 100% because it's been a while now. Pretty sure we ended up with like a 29-degree rake, and it's still a 4.5-inch trail, which is pretty close to the stock dimensions. So it handles like an FXR. So many people, I can't even tell you, ask me how it rides, how it feels. And it's hard because you can't have everybody sit on it. Not everybody's around here. So I like to take it to places, shows, etc. Not in hopes of winning something, but to show people it doesn't ride crazy or feel crazy. If you sit on it, these bars are at the height, which we'll get into this, but these bars had to be custom done by Bryden as well, TPJ. These bars come out to be about the same rise as a 12 or a 14 on a regular FXR. Their placement is real similar to a regular FXR. So a lot of people, it takes sitting their ass right here to grasp that it really feels the same. So that part is pretty cool, and the frame was a huge endeavor. The backbone was obviously switched to a round one. Up under the seat was all reworked, so it jives. Yeah, the frame was a huge step. So basically, it all started with the idea, as I was saying. Yeah, I mean, it's got 6-over front tubes, which I think I got from TC Bros. Randy hooked it up with the chrome single disc lowers, 39 mil. As you can see, we'll start kind of from the front, I guess. So these are just your regular 39 millimeter lowers. This is some kind of funky chrome caliper I found on eBay. This was just a regular stock rotor that I ordered from V-Twin or Drag or something. That's the 4-leaf clover kind of deal is what I call it, because of these wheels. And then I had it chromed as well. So the wheels started off as new old stock Henry Abe wheels that were available in the parts and accessories catalog back in like 77-ish for Sportster or FX. So it's a 1916. Kind of wishing I had done like a 21, 18 get up, which may change down the road. But basically they were just your typical cast, they were new old stock, they were brand new. Looked nice, but as I went to put things together, it just wasn't flying. So the wheels were like $250 and they got about $1,500 worth of chrome. So as you can imagine, costs on things really add up quicker than you would think. But it had to be right, and I couldn't just put all the things together. I tried that. I mocked it up first with everything. I was going to run the body panels like they were. The tank was like a lime green with tape on it where somebody was doing a panel job and gave up, and then I bought the tank. So I started putting all the parts together. The back fender was like a dark blue. I had like a chin spoiler that matched the back fender with some really kick-ass pinstriping on it. And I just anticipated running all these parts as they were, but it just didn't jive. And we'll put some pictures in the video so you can kind of see throughout the steps how how it looked and how it was in my mind, and then things kind of evolved as I really started putting it together and putting time and energy into it. I realized that we were going to have to spend a little bit of money to kind of achieve what we were really looking for. The fender is it was a new old stock LochNess fender. Comes with these kick-ass aluminum billet things on the side, and a lot of people don't even know it, but when I got the fender, it had 2 different plates on it, and if you look, they're not the same. And I have other ones, but I decided that I liked both of them and I couldn't choose. So you're not really going to look at both sides at once ever. So if you do get a chance to look at it, they're different on both sides. You'll see. The fairing, I got at a swap meet from a friend of mine, Gio, who's always at all the swap meets. This is the older version of the Corbin Warbird FXR fairing. Standard 5 3/4 inch mount. And then moving on over here, the mirrors are LochNess, PM contour, chrome controls, hydraulic clutch. We'll get to the transmission get up later. These are all LochNess adjustable bars, which these were 12 or 14 inches. And after I got the frame situated, I put them up on the bike, and I said, Brian, I can't even reach them, dude. Even though they're adjustable and you can totally swing them back, they were just too far. So he sectioned out, I think, 6 or 8 inches out of them. So they're really about a 4-inch rise now. And a lot of the pieces had to be re-chromed because they were, it was parts pile stuff. The triple trees are new old stock Delcron billet trees that kind of polished up a little bit. The tank, I don't know who makes it. It could be some kind of lowbrow or something. I have no idea. But it was not run when I got it. Just had a really terrible paint job, so I body worked it and painted it myself. So it's not perfect. Also, while we're here, so these graphics that you see on here and some of this in the center of the side covers, Courtney made those on the Cricut at the house because we're just regular people, dude. We're just doing what we can with what we got for the most part. So some of these decals are just printed off the Cricut at the house, just vinyl. Next, I guess we'll move on to the meat and potatoes, the drivetrain. And this is really what kicked the project into gear. Like I said, it didn't have a VIN number or anything, so what do you do at that point? Well, a friend of mine here kind of locally had this engine and transmission, or actually just the engine. I got the transmission separately. The transmission came out of a Road King that I bought from a tow yard that had been caught on fire. So the guys at Refuel, Jamie and Mark, totally went through the transmission, made sure it all jived and put new bearings and seals and all the things inside the bagger transmission. So this is an 01 bagger engine and transmission. It's a 95 inch now with 510 gear drive cams. We'll talk about that here in a minute. So a lot of people also ask about these guys. I've had people ask, are they nitrous, or what is that, or how does that, was it like some hot rod thing? No, dude, those are just oil return lines. They were on the motor when I got it, so I just replaced them with newer stuff rather than plugging them off. Just looks cool. Then on the spark plug wires, I get a lot of questions about these little sparkulators too. That's all they are. They're like from Drag. They're probably 10 bucks. But it's just something when you're riding it at light and they're just flashing, it looks killer. Got a LochNess oil pressure gauge. This thing has great oil pressure. This here's my petcock, LochNess rocker covers. Shout out John Jessup and the boys at Dream Rides. So with the motor, also got the plate, title, VIN number, all the things I needed to register it. So that really kicked things off and got me into building a bike because now I had registration. Also, so the belt drive is a 3-inch BDL belt drive. Shout out Manny, the homie, hooked that up. The belt, as you see, was custom pinstriped by the ever so talented Blinky Striping. Thanks, dude. Looks killer. If you get a shot of it, you can see like the head of the LochNess monster. A lot of people are like, where did the LochNess come from? Well, we got quite a few old Ness parts, and the way that it looked to me was kind of like a LochNess monster. That's simple. That's it. The mid controls. So these are custom made by Bryden again, TPJ Customs. I told him kind of what I was looking for. Haven't seen too many people with a 3-inch belt drive and mid controls, but on an FXR, I had to have it that way. And when we did the frame, Brian and I decided that it looked way better, so we whacked the highway peg mounts off, so forward controls were no longer an option. So we had to do something. So coming back a little further, we have just LochNess plastic side covers, LochNess adjustable kickstand. Again, some more. This vinyl was cut at home on the Cricket and then detailed and made to look killer by Blinky Striping. That dude has some serious friggin' skills. This seat came from a swap meet. This is a LaPera seat, I think a Daytona, which somebody had some sweet ass ostrich put in. And I mean, it's wild, so why not, right? So that's that. Old school, I think those are Ness struts. Old LochNess swing arm I had re-chromed. These bitchin' Bitubo shocks, Bitubo. They're Italian, not super expensive, pretty plush. I don't have a ton of miles on them just yet, but I dig them and they're like some of the only chrome ones around. So if you're looking, I would highly suggest those. Then we got a hog halters, rear pulley, brake combo kit that also was from Marcus and Phil, some more swap meet FXR homies. Came off of a Dyna that they had at some point, and I made it work here. I decided to use all this 3/16 hardline, which probably wasn't the best idea. A lot of places, you know, don't really use that anymore since kind of the fat tire chopper stuff. But I liked that era. Like, I was a kid and I watched that on TV. And I always saw bikes with this kind of brake lines, so that's what I had to do versus regular stainless lines or whatever. So then we come back to the taillight, old LochNess, license plate mount, LochNess. As you can see, that's kind of the theme. And then, you know what, let's flip this thing around so we can get a look at the other side. All right, so this is the other side, the main side people always see. And I kind of wanted to, however silly it is, if there's guys out there or girls out there that want to build a bike, don't know where to start, whatever, you got to conceptualize, or I don't know how to do it. This is the first thing I've ever done like this, so who am I? But for me, it started with ideas and putting the ideas down on paper. So that's what it started as. I'm not an artist, but you know, you got to start somewhere to keep track of what you're doing, I think, and that's what I did. So on this one, we'll start on the back. We already covered the license plate frame, the tail light, the struts, the shocks, the swing arm. If you get a look back here, it's not been chromed yet, but Brian also made me this little hubcap. Since I don't have a brake or pulley or anything on this side, it looked kind of empty, so Brian made that little wheel cover. Again, on this side, blinky striping on the striping. If we get over here, we can look at some of the meat and potatoes. So again, Brian, TPJ Customs, come up with this killer ass design for the mid controls mounting off of the clutch side cover, which is, so a little about the transmission. Like I said, the guys at Refuel went through it because it wasn't a fire and did all the gaskets, bearings, and seals. This is a 01 bagger transmission with a Screaming Eagle 6-speed gear set with a hydraulic clutch get up, which took some workings with BDL in order to find the right stuff to make that work. So it does have a hydraulic clutch. It is a Screaming Eagle 6-speed. This is an 08 and up bagger Brembo rear master cylinder for the rear brake. A lot of questions on the pipe. This is a CCI pipe from Custom Chrome for LochNess. So people just refer to them as a Ness pipe. We did have to redo the routing because these pipes come up and around the Evo cam cover. But since we're running this bad dog, we had to do something back here. So this back pipe and heat shield come off of a 2020 bagger. It just was the perfect jive for it. We got a high torque starter, Ness top cover, some kind of ball milled looking push rod tubes and lifter blocks. We redid the chrome on the Arlen Ness air cleaner. Again, John Jessup, thanks so much, man. Those rocker boxes are killer. S&S carb and intake that I had polished. And then this, so this kind of throws people off. A lot of people think that it's just a regular Evo. This is a twin cam motor from an 01 bagger. This is a Morris Magneto T5 that they do make for twin cams, which is pretty cool. Up here is a locking cap so I can cut the spark, because otherwise somebody could walk off with your bike. Up under here, we got the headlight switch, tail light switch. So it really only has, there's no turn signals or anything. It's a chopper, and it makes the wiring way easier. I'm not an electrician either. So headlight, tail light are run off a switch. Brake light works also. There's also a kill switch here, because otherwise you would have to reach all the way down here to ground the mag to kill the motor once you got it started. So really, the motor only needs one thing, and that's for you to push this button, which is connected to the battery, and that's going to spin the motor enough to fire that mag, and it's off and running. Really cool, really simple. So yeah, that's the majority of it. It does have a 32 amp charging system for a bagger also, so I don't really have much going, but it gives plenty of cranking power, and I guess refuels the battery pretty quickly, because it doesn't have a lot of different things that put a draw on the electronics. Top motor mount design, also TPJ Customs, Bryden. And here's the other side of the thing, so I don't know if you could tell the difference, but that's the other one, which I thought was kind of cool. This reminds me of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, maybe Rocksteady. And then here's the clean side of that Henry Abe wheel. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Just a lot of time in making things fit. Not everything jives. It's a lot weirder when you start getting all these random different pieces you like to go together, to fit together, to look decent. A lot of rechroming of things, painting. I painted this bike myself here in this shop. I taped up a spray booth in between some of the rows of shelves here during the summer when it was like 100 degrees, and I'd stay here at night till it cooled off around midnight, and I'd paint a part I'd take one part, start body working it, getting it ready to paint, and then it'd sometimes take me a day or two to actually get it painted. So it's all base coat, clear coat, 2K clear, and these were all done. So I would call Courtney, I'd say, hey babe, so I'm at the paint store, I'm gonna send you some pictures out of the paint book, you tell me which code you think is the right color for this piece. So together, we would choose the colors for this bike, first being the frame. It's not the greatest job on the frame because I did this hanging up in the warehouse, but we wanted purple, like a pastel purple. Bam, there it is. So we decided that's the color we wanted. I had them they preload aerosol spray cans at the Napa Auto Supply down the street. So that's what we did. It's, yeah, each piece was a different day. This one, I was going to leave the blue paint with the stripes on it and decided, it doesn't quite jive. And we don't have any pink on this bike yet. So that's where these all came from. And you know, this coral color looked kind of sweet. I'm probably going to do some changing to the front fender. Like I said, I think down the road, maybe some different wheels, like 2118 of some sort, some custom stuff, some like real player stuff. But yeah, that's it, man. You just turn the gas on, hit the button, 9 times out of 10, she's off to the races. Then when you're ready to stop, press and hold the button, she's off. But this is our 1988 FXR Custom Chopper. Well, guys, that's a little bit about us, a little bit about our bike. We are just kicked off another build, whatever. I did put this bike together myself and with another friend of mine. So whether you want to call it a build or not is up to you. I really could care less. Anyway, we're on to the next one. So for this year's Wengo Tango show that they just announced, it's going to be at the Buffalo Chip I think the beginning of August is the day before the FXR show. We plan to be there with the GL 1100 Goldwing that we are building. We have already dropped off the frame and everything to Bryden, TPJ Customs, which you may have seen in other videos. So he's on board again with helping us do some weird stuff. So we are mating a 97 Dyna and the Goldwing together to bring you the GL FX DXT. We'll see how it goes. So stay tuned for that, which reminds me, if you like this video, please hit the little like button. If you could subscribe, we sure would appreciate it, because that's really going to help us. And comment, let us know what you think. If you think it sucks, let us know. If you love it, let us know. We've been really fortunate. We've won a few shows that it's kind of unbelievable, because you show up with something like this and like you don't know how people will perceive it, because it's just something that literally is from junk parts and my brain, and you know, some talent from others. But you never know how it's going to be perceived, and we've been super fortunate in that a lot of people really like the bike. I'm sure there's people that hate it, but they typically don't say anything. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not really about this bike or winning any shows or anything like that. We've been super lucky with that, but really it's about showing other people that you could do it too. I mean, it takes some time and some money. You got to invest, you know what I mean, in making your dreams a reality. But we're not going to stop here. We're going to move on and build some other bikes. We don't anticipate being bike builders. We don't have skills for that, nor time. We do have a business to run. It's just what we like to do. This is our hobby. Our hobby is riding motorcycles and coming up with different ideas that we think might be cool. So if you have an idea and you're not too sure if you could do it, I am a regular dude. I got no more talent or money than anybody else. I am not rich. We just are regular folks. So give it a go. I mean, maybe you could come up with something cool. When we're at events and we're at shows, we like to see other things, and that's what really draws our attention to these things that people come up with. I really think it's cool when people think outside the box, and I like seeing different things. So maybe give it a try. But yeah, this is our bike, and we hope. So now Courtney is helping me full time. We are both doing the eBay business together. So hopefully that will maybe free up some time that we can start producing more content, more videos for you guys. So if you could subscribe, that'd be rad. Maybe hit the little alert deal so that you could be notified each time we drop a new video. And let us know in the comments, is there any questions, any other information maybe we've skipped, anything you'd like to know, like to see on upcoming videos. We hope to give an update on the Goldwing soon. And we're going to try to just pump out a little more content a little more frequently, so you got something to watch, because we do the same thing. We watch hours of YouTube every day just because it's interesting seeing regular normal folks and what they do and what they're into. I dig it. Well, we appreciate you watching, and we hope to see you in the future. If you're out at an event or whatever, don't be shy. Say what's up, man. That's the best part. We travel all over in hopes of meeting people, maybe changing some minds. I don't know. We're just doing what we can. Thank you so much for watching. We totally appreciate it. Have a good one.